Just so you are all aware, we've got 3 minutes to the start of the meeting because we're slightly early and we cannot start until 1 o'clock. Okay? Good afternoon. My name is Councillor Helen Crawford and I am the current Chairman of the Council. We are not expecting the fire alarm to sound this afternoon. If the fire alarm does go off, please leave the building by the nearest exit. The assembly point is on the green in front of St Peter's Hill Surgery. Please ensure that any mobile phones are either turned off or to silent. And I would like to begin by welcoming all new and returning councillors and officers and the members of the press and public who are joining our meeting today. I would also draw your attention to the fact that the meeting is being recorded. Before we proceed with the business of the meeting, I would like to ask councillors to join me in a minute's silence following the recent death of former councillors Dorian Dexter and Marjorie Radley. Councillor Dorian Dexter was a councillor for the Grantham-Earlsfield ward from 2003 to 2007, and Councillor Marjorie Radley was the chairman from 2010 to 2011 and served as a councillor from 2003 to 2011, serving the former Morecree ward, which covered Castle Bytham, North Witham and South Witham. Please now join me in a minute's silence. Thank you. Thank you. You may be seated. Did any councillors wish to speak on those past councillors? Thank you, Councillor Ian Selby.
Madam Chairman, thank you very much indeed. As far as of the House, I'd first of all like to say warm welcome to everybody in the room. Congratulations on obtaining your seat, and warm welcome to the members of the public as well. Marjorie Radley and Dorian Dexter. I can only speak fondly and highly of both of these two former councillors. Both wonderful women, and I think probably summed up best as being both community people. They certainly were. So community women is what stands out for me. Madam Chairman, back in May of 2003, the Grantham Journal produced an article, and it was entitled "The Marriage Counsellors." At that time, Madam Chairman, we had five double acts here in the council chamber. We had the Wheats. Some people here. We had the Wheats. We had the Williams. We had the Hursts and the Dexters, and also the Radleys. Today, Madam Chairman, I believe we have 3 married couples here in the council chamber. I believe it's the Bakers, the Wood, and the Robins. And just a couple of little extracts I'd just like to read from that article in the Grantham Journal, Madam Chairman. Just briefly sums up a little bit about them. With regarding Marjorie, chalk and cheese. Tory couple Norman and Marjorie Radley say they will sort things out through their contrasting personalities. Cancer care nurse Mrs Radley said, undoubtedly there will be issues we don't agree on. Mrs Radley, on the council for the first time, said having couples in the council could promote more civil atmosphere in the chamber. She said it will probably make it better because everybody is reasonably sensible and you can work things through and talk things through, she said. Dorian Dexter, I attended Dorian's funeral on Monday, Madam Chairman, and it says here, Neil and Dorian Dexter won the right to represent the Earlsfield ward on Thursday and say they used healthy discussions which will continue in and out of the council chamber. And Mrs Dexter, she was 65 at the time, helped her husband out when he was mayor in 1984 to 85. And Neil said her work on the Earlsfield estate, where she assists the credit union, would help her as would her experience in assisting him. Both of them, Madam Chairman, wonderful people. I shall remember them fondly, and community people, they really were. Thank you, Madam Chairman, appreciate that.
Thank you. I'll carry on. Oh, sorry. Councillor Charmaine Morgan, you wish to speak?
Yes, thank you. Thank you. I would just like to say I had the pleasure of knowing both of the former councillors. Marjorie was actually quite a keen campaigner for Grantham Hospital, and she was one of the founder campaigners, worked with Councillor John Hurst as well, and I think that's a legacy that I'm proud that we can continue, and I often think of her actually standing out here on the green when we're campaigning. And also Dorian, she carried on working within local politics for at least another 20 years. So well done to her. Thank you so much.
Thank you. We will carry on with the business of today. Any councillor who wishes to speak should press the button on their microphone. A green light will signal that you are in a queue. I will call councillors to speak in the order in which they appear on the list. Please do not press your button again. If your light is green, this will take you out of the queue. When it is your turn to speak, I will call your name and the Democratic Service team will ensure your microphone is live. They will also turn your microphone off when you have finished speaking. You will not be able to turn your microphone on or off. This will be done for you. The button on your microphone will only allow you to join or remove yourself from the list of councillors requesting to speak. Members are also reminded that when speaking, comments should be addressed through the chairman and the members should speak clearly into their microphones. Members are also reminded that when the chairman starts to speak, you are to stop speaking and be seated. The length of time for speeches remains 5 minutes. You will be warned when you have 30 seconds left and when your time is up. Throughout this meeting, we will be voting by a show of hands. The only occasion we'll be using a roll call vote will be if a recorded vote is requested. The rules of debate are set out in the Constitution, but here is a brief reminder. A member may speak once on motions and once on each amendment that is put. Other than exercising a right of reply at the end of debate on a substantive motion or amendment, the only time a member may speak a second time is to raise a point of order, point of information, or a point of personal explanation. Points of order may only relate to an alleged breach of the council procedure or the law. Any councillor who wishes to raise a point of order must indicate the rule or law in which they have considered to be broken. A point of information provides any councillor with the ability to intervene should they believe another councillor is providing the council with incorrect information, thereby saving the council from being misled and saving its time. A point of personal explanation may only relate to some of the material part of an earlier speech made by a councillor which may appear to have been misunderstood during debate. There are a number of appointments on the agenda for today's meeting, and Council Procedure Rule 16.1 regarding voting on appointments states that in the event of a tie, the chairman or person presiding the meeting will draw the name of the person nominated at random, who will be then duly appointed. Given the potential for close numbers associated with today's voting and the fact that the chairman will be entitled to vote on each appointment, I propose suspending Council Procedure Rule 16.1 to allow the Chief Executive, who acted as returning officer for the recent local elections, to draw the name of the person nominated at random instead of the chairman. Is there a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Cleaver. All those in favour, please raise your hand. Against? Abstentions? Thank you, that has been passed. We will now work through today's agenda. Apologies for absence, please.
Thank you, Chairman. In advance of the meeting, I've received apologies from Councillors Jane Kingman, Bridget Lay and Councillor Murray Turner. Thank you, Chairman.
Are there any other apologies that need to be noted? No, thank you. Item 2 of the agenda, the election of Chairman of South Kesteven District Council. The next item is the election of the Chairman of the District Council for the coming municipal year. Could I please have nominations for the role of Chairman of the District? And I personally would like to propose Councillor Gloria Johnson, as she's been my Vice Chair this past year. Thank you. Do I have a seconder? Thank you. Councillor Rees-Baker. Do I have any other nominations for Chairman? No? Then we will go to the vote. All those in favour, please raise your hand. Thank you. Against? 2 abstentions. None. That has been carried. Councillor Gloria Johnson, you are our new Chairman.
Wow. Oh, what a journey. What a journey. First and foremost, I'd like to thank Helen for her kind words and Reese for seconding it. Helen has been a fantastic role model. She's attended absolutely everything she could, and she's represented this council better than anyone that I've ever known do it. I congratulate her on that, and I know she's raised quite a lot of money for a charities. So I'd like to give a vote of thanks to Helen. Thank you very much, Helen. I will now open the floor. No, ask Helen to say a few words.
No, you open the floor.
Oh, open the floor for
people to see.
Oh, would anyone else like to make any comments? Make them nice. Graham, would you like to say a few words? I'm sorry, I'm all of a dither at the minute. Please bear with me.
Thank you, Madam Chairman, and may I offer my congratulations as well. On behalf of the South Kesteven Coalition grouping, I would like to thank Helen for chairing South Kesteven District Council this last year. As Mayor of Grantham, we've attended many events together. In this, the most important of years, with the passing of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II and the coronation of King Charles III, she has brought her own brand of dignity to the role of chairman of this council. Whether that be swinging on swings in Wyndham Park, or representing the council at various civic functions, with a glass of wine in her hand, or reminding councillors to wear a tie, she has represented the council with gusto and with fortitude, and has taken her responsibilities very seriously. She will be a hard act to follow, Madam Chair, but she can be proud of the work over the last year. Thank you.
Is there anyone else wishing to speak? Councillor Cleaver.
Thank you. I'd like to echo what Councillor Gill has said and add my own thanks to Helen for her hard work and commitment and our success as our chairman for the last year. Thank you.
Councillor Knowles.
Thank you. I'd like to add the congratulations to Helen. She's been a wonderful lady in Bourne for us for the last whatever number of years, and she throws herself into everything that goes on in Bourne as a town councillor there, and she has done with this as well. She's an excellent person, excellent councillor, and I'm glad she was from Bourne. And I should add that her great mentor sort of obviously died during the year, but she was a student of Judy Smith, and she did her proud. She did her proud.
Councillor Selby.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I know some of our meetings sometimes get protracted when we all say the same thing, but I'll just echo those words that's been said. Warmest congratulations to yourself, and a big thank you to Helen. Thank you.
Councillor Charmaine Morgan.
Thank you. Yes, just very quick. One of the last events that Helen attended was the coronation celebrations here in Grantham. My lasting memory will be Helen helping us judge the steampunk fancy dress competition, which was the opportunity for wonderful photographs. Thank you very much, Helen.
Councillor Harish Bisau Singh.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I will echo everything that has been said. I echo Graham's word completely, but also I have not only had the experience of Helen being our chair of the council, but also chairs over the committees as well, which she has quite diligently directed us all in which way to go. Thank you very much, Helen.
Is there anyone else? I'd like to pass the last word to Helen herself. Sorry, Councillor Kelly, I didn't see.
Just have to say, Helen and I both on Bourne Town Council and both here, we share a ward, and anyone who comes across us both together, fear. Thank you.
I hope that won't be Rhea and myself.
Thank you, Madam Chairman, and thank you for all those kind words. Those of you who know me will probably realise I shall cry now. What a year to be a chairman. So many national comings together, the Queen's Jubilee, the sad passing of the Queen, the proclamation of King Charles, the coronation of King Charles III. It has been an honour and a privilege to meet so many people who support and help so many to attending so many events and functions. I believe it was 64 that I attended in the end, so a busy year. On top of attending our other functions, I had my own for those who came and supported and gave money. We raised £3,000 for my two charities, Links and Notts Air Ambulance and St Barnabas Hospice, so a huge thank you to who donated. I now have a big list of thank yous. Firstly, I'd like to say thank you to my consorts who supported me on so many levels. Callum Cook, Julia Reid, Robert Reid and my sister Janet Graham. Father Stuart for coming and saying very much needed prayers. Councillor Gloria Johnson for being my Vice Chair, you've been fabulous. Our Chief Executive Karen Bradford, Graham Watts and James Wellborn, and not forgetting Alan Robinson. Thank you for getting me through the meetings and for all those officers here and behind the scenes who have helped me along the way. I really do appreciate your help and support. Lastly but not least, I could not have done this without one person who's had the hardest job of all to keep me in order, which very few have managed, I can tell you, who arranged all my events, which ran so smoothly and made sure I knew when and where I was going. So please let's give a round of applause to Sam, and I have a few gifts to give out. We can all dry our eyes now and move forward. Pardon? That's what I just said. Yeah. Just one moment. Who's giving them out? Me. Oh, right. I didn't know. I didn't know. Oh, right. Oh, right. It's now number 3, election of the Vice Chairman of South Kesteven District Council. Thank you. Could we now have nominations for the role of Vice Chairman? And I would like to nominate Councillor Paul Fellows, if he would like to accept that role. If somebody will second it, please. Mark Whittington? Any other nominations? Come on down, young Paul. Hang on a minute, we've got to vote you in, and I'm sure we won't have any trouble. Could we have a vote of who wishes him to be Vice Chairman?
You don't put your hands up, I know where you live.
That's carried, thank you very much.
Okay, what notice for me? I can't blame them, really. Thank you for this honour, ladies and gentlemen. I am absolutely certain there is not a person sitting in this room, be it an officer or be it a councillor, that doesn't absolutely want to serve our communities and do the best for the people we represent. So, shall we get on with it?
Thank you, Councillor Fellows. Now we move on to item 4, which is disclosures of interest. Members are reminded that a disclosable pecuniary interest is an interest any member holds where they or their spouse or civil partner is likely to receive a financial benefit or disadvantage because of the decision that is being made. For example, this could be because of their employment or a dividend they have in respect of an affected business. It also covers any land they hold. Members should also consider whether they have any other registrable interests or non-registrable interests that would need declaring at the meeting in accordance with the Council's Code of Conduct. Once you have declared an interest, you should leave the meeting, not speak or vote on the debate. If any member has any interests that they need to disclose, please indicate them now. Thank you. If during debate it becomes clear to you that you have a disclosable pecuniary interest or any other interest in an item, you can declare it at the relevant point of the meeting. We will now proceed with the next item of business. Agenda item 5, minutes of the meeting held on 1st of March 2023. This item is to confirm the minutes of the following meeting, 1st of March 2023. Any correction should be regarding the accuracy of the substance of the minutes, not typographical errors, which should have been raised with the Democratic Services team when the minutes were published. If you wish to make any corrections to the minute, please indicate now. Thank you. Is there a proposer for the minutes of the meeting held on 1st of March 2023? Councillor Crawford?
Yes, happy to propose, Madam Chairman. Sorry, I should have stood.
Have we got a seconder? Councillor Paul Wood?
Yes, I'm happy to second those minutes, Madam Chair.
Can we go to the vote, please? Those for, please raise your hands. Carried. No. Any against? Any abstentions? That's carried. Thank you very much. Item 6 on the agenda.
Off those minutes that were supposed to appear on this agenda, and they don't appear on the agenda for this meeting. So the items which I'm referring to are motions 95 and 96 in the minutes that were deferred to this meeting, and maybe the movers of those motions have changed their minds about whether they actually want to enter those motions, but there were a number of constitutional amendments as well under 92 that were supposed to be referred to this meeting. So I can't see them on the agenda unless you can advise otherwise that they would appear on the agenda later, and we'll take them there. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm sorry I can't see your name. Councillor Shorrock, thank you. I'll pass you over to Graham Watts for an answer. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. With this being an annual meeting, notices of motion don't appear in the Council procedure rules for annual meetings. So at ordinary meetings of the Council, notices of motion can be considered, but not in an annual meeting. Just in relation to the two motions, though, just for the information for Council, one of them is from a councillor who is no longer an elected member of the authority. Councillor Dilks's motion actually related to the establishment of a standards committee, which has already been decided at the previous meeting of full council, so it would have been withdrawn anyway. Just in relation to the constitutional proposed amendments, it was felt that this annual meeting wasn't the right forum for that particular item. Again, that should be considered as an ordinary meeting of full council, and actually, dependent on the administration in place, there may be decisions that need to be taken at that level as to whether it's appropriate for those amendments to be forwarded to full council for consideration as well. So that was the rationale for deferring that particular item to the next ordinary meeting of council should the new administration agree that that's appropriate. If that's okay, Chairman.
Yes, on this occasion.
So therefore the minutes that actually said these could be referred to this meeting are in it. There's an error in those minutes because they couldn't actually be referred back to this meeting at all, which I thought would be the case, and I was quite surprised that there was a minute from an ordinary meeting referring it to an annual meeting anyway. So by the very fact that the council's actually passed those minutes, what do we now do to actually say, well, actually, that couldn't happen anyway, because those matters should have been referred to an ordinary meeting of council. And clearly, they should have been advised of that at the time when those matters were passed and agreed.
It's a valid point, Chairman. And it's something that we can note in the minutes for further clarity. It does say may be heard in the minutes, but we can make a note in the minutes of this meeting to just acknowledge that point. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you. We now move on to agenda item 6, communications, including the chairman's announcements. The list of chairman's engagements. A list of the chairman's engagements from the previous meeting to date has been made available to all members. Can I ask the head of paid services wishes to make any announcements?
Thank you, Madam Chairman. There's no announcements from myself.
Thank you. We will now move on. Agenda item 7, election of the leader of the council. The next item is the election of the chairman of the district council for the 4-year term, subject to the contents of paragraph 7.3 of Article 7 of the Constitution. Could I please have nominations for the role of leader of the district council? Have we got a proposer? Councillor Baxter.
Thank you, Madam Chairman, and welcome to your seat. It's good to see you there. I'd like to nominate my colleague, Councillor Richard Cleaver, for the leader of the council. He is one of the 29 that have been elected, and he's upstanding member of the Stamford. You're on town council now as well? No. He's got the time because he's not on Stamford Town Council. But I can tell you, having worked with him over the last couple of weeks, that he has got the enthusiasm and the drive and the capacity to do the job very well and hold the council together across the floor. So I heartily recommend that he become chair.
Have we got a seconder?
Happy to second Councillor Richard Cleaver for that. It gives me great pleasure to do that. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Councillor Penny-Milne.
Thank you. Yes, I would like to propose Councillor Graham Gill to be leader of this council. I think he comes with excellent credentials to do the role, and I think that's important in an era of and spirit of balance in this council. Thank you.
Have we got a seconder? Councillor Ian Stokes.
Yes, I've got great pleasure in seconding that nomination.
Is there any other nominations? Right, therefore we'll go to the vote. Can we have... Oh, Councillor Baxter.
Could I just clarify whether or not this is a recorded vote? And if not, then please can we request one?
If you would like a recorded vote, could we please have people to stand for a recorded vote? I think we're having a recorded vote. Councillor Wood.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. First of all, congratulations on your appointment, Madam Chairman. An excellent choice. And also Councillor Paul Fellows as Vice Chairman. I'd like to speak in support of Councillor Graham Gill. Obviously, the leader of the council is a very important...
Sorry, Paul, there's no debate on this. We're going straight to the vote. I'm really sorry.
Okay.
Thank you. I'm now going to pass to Graham Watts to conduct this recorded vote.
Thank you, Chairman. So I'm going to read out the name of each member of the council in alphabetical order. Could you please indicate by saying the name Cleaver or Gill which councillor you would like to elect as leader of the council? You can, of course, abstain as well, so please just say abstain if you wish to abstain. So, commencing with Councillor Emma Baker. Rhys Baker. Ashley Baxter. David Bellamy. Harish Visnal Singh. Pam Bosworth. Pam Bird. Richard Cleaver. Helen Crawford. Steve Cunnington. James Denniston. Phil Dilks. Richard Dixon Warren. Barry Dobson. Patsy Ellis. Paul Fellows. Phil Gadd. Ben Green. Tim Harrison. Graham Gill. Gloria Johnson.
Gill.
Anna Kelly. Gareth Knight. Philip Knowles. Zoe Lane. Robert Leadenham. Nicky Manterfield. Paul Martin. Penny Milnes. Virginia Moran. Charmaine Morgan. Chris Noon. Habib Rahman. Councillor Rayside. Nick Robbins. Penny Robbins. Susan Sandal. Max Sawyer. Ian Selby. Rob Shorrock. Vanessa Smith. Peter Stevens. Lee Steptoe. Ian Stokes. Paul Stokes. Elvis Stooke. Rosemary Trollope Bellew. Sarah Trotter. Mark Whittington. Jane Wood. Paul Wood. Sue Woolley. Ray Wootton. Thank you, Chairman. So to confirm, the votes in favour of Councillor Cleaver are 27. The votes in favour of Councillor Gill are 26. So Councillor Cleaver is elected as leader.
I now confirm that Councillor Cleaver is the leader of the council, and congratulations, Richard. And now we'll move on to item 8. Our next item will see the leader announce their cabinet. As this is an announcement, questions will not be accepted, so once the leader has made their announcements, we will move on to the next item of business. Councillor Cleaver, please proceed with your announcements.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I'm honoured to have been elected leader of this council, a responsibility which I intend to discharge with a fair and open mind, of full hearts, and with great thoroughness until January next year, when there will be an opportunity for the majority group to review and renew the leadership. But this majority group is a group of people in whom I already feel I can take pride. Half of them are newly elected councillors who have been elected because they have listened to their electorate, and they come here with great energy and commitment. I welcome them. We also have many long-serving councillors whose wisdom and experience will be so important in moving this council forward. As was stated publicly before the election, our first task is to establish the true state of SKDC's finances. We must ensure that the council's finances are as sound as they can be. There are a number of key themes which we will pursue, and these include improving decision-making by enhancing scrutiny and opening and acting in a more open manner, reviewing all major projects to ensure value for money and tangible benefits flowing from them, stepping up action on climate change, making the council more responsive to residents when they contact us, doing all we can to protect our communities from the effects of the cost of living crisis, encouraging strong, supportive communities, being more transparent in the development of planning policy, providing an adequate supply of good quality, truly affordable housing with both our own housing stock and through the social and private housing sectors, renewing public confidence in our council and in local democracy generally, and stimulating our local economy. I have never seen our country's public services so overstretched at any point previously in my lifetime. We face a great challenge, but one which I know we will confront conscientiously, creatively, and compassionately. I encourage you all to work with me in this spirit. Thank you. The Cabinet will consist of Ashley Baxter as my deputy, who will also, as in the previous administration was the case, take on the finance portfolio. The remaining members of the Cabinet will be Paul Stokes, Rhys Baker and Patsy Ellis on a job share arrangement, Councillor Phil Dilks, Councillor Philip Knowles and Councillor Rhea Rayside. Precise details of all portfolios will be announced shortly. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Cleaver. Agenda item number 9, appointments to committees and panels of the Council and the appointment of Chairman and Vice Chairman. Council is now being asked to make appointments to its committees, including the appointment of the Chairman and Vice Chairman of those committees. This report was circulated as a supplement and is available electronically, and there are a limited number of spares on the back benches in paper form. There are 6 recommendations within the paper, including considering the Council's committee structure, confirming the size of committees and panels, appointing members to the committees, and appointing the Chairman and Vice Chairman. Could I hand over to the Chief Executive to introduce the report, please?
Thank you, Chairman. I'll present the report if that's okay. Yeah. Thank you very much, Chairman. So the report before you sets out the political proportionality of the authority, and there's two proposals that are attached at the back of the report, which set out committee structures and committee allocations associated with them in relation to the political proportionality. There's an opportunity to appoint members to those committees and the opportunity to appoint chairman and vice chairman of committees. The recommendations in the report also seek clarification just in relation to the special responsibility allowance associated with the Standards Committee. That's a new committee that doesn't currently have a special responsibility allowance associated with it in our scheme of members' allowances, so just need a decision by Council to allocate it with one, and we've linked that to the Constitution Committee, which has now been taken out of the committee structure, and the consultation with the Chairman of the Independent Remuneration Panel. That is a recommendation put to you today in that respect. That's all I had to say in relation to the report, unless there are any questions or points of clarity, Chairman. Thank you.
Councillor Cleaver. Councillor Baxter.
Thank you. May I call you Chair? Lovely. Thank you. Thank you very much, Chair.
You're not allowed to call me love.
You've done the training.
Only when we know each other well. The reason why, as this side of the House, we've proposed this arrangement of committees and chairmanships, is because for the last, goodness knows how long, people inside the chamber and outside of the chamber have been complaining about the levels of scrutiny. So we want to see more scrutiny. We want more scrutiny committees with more scrutiny taking place. For example, what was called the Rural and Communities Scrutiny Committee was mostly, or a large part of that was talking about housing. And we know that over years, housing has been a particular issue for the Council, to put it mildly. And so we're separating that out so that we can have a housing committee that looks specifically at housing, particularly council housing, the issues that we have in managing our housing, and also in generating new housing. In looking at the housing revenue account, which sometimes is the forgotten relative, the poor relation to the main budget. So we want some proper scrutiny of housing, but also you'll see the other committees where the other scrutiny is going to take place. We've also increased the number of committee spaces on those committees in order that we can get a broader spectrum of opinion, and also that we don't just improve the scrutiny, but we also make it more inclusive. We want to be inclusive because we've got, at last count, I think 6 groups on the council, possibly 7, and we want those groups to participate and to be able to participate. And the political balance arrangements means that we can all, in some way, participate in the scrutiny process. Because as a member of Richard's cabinet, I want to be held to account in the way that previous administrations haven't been held to account. We want to be a cabinet that is open to new ideas, that is open to innovation. We want to be a cabinet which takes ideas from any side of the House, from any group, from any individual. We want to be collaborative. We want to be cooperative. We want to take the acrimony away from the council. And I admit that in the past, perhaps I've been involved in that acrimony. We've all been elected newly, and I hope that we can all look forward to a new atmosphere within the council chamber and also in the committee meetings. Let me tell you all, before anyone tells you different, in the committees you can say what you like, and with the exception of calling people love. You can say what you like, you can come up with any crazy ideas. No idea too crazy for South Kesteven District Council, but your colleagues may well push back. But if we don't hear your ideas, then they're not going to happen. So please come to all the scrutiny committees and all the committees with an open mind and without a previous agenda. So without further ado, I need to go through the chairs and vice chairs.
Chairman, can I suggest that you're proposing Appendix 2 as a proposal, so it's an actual change to the existing structure of the council, so you need a proposer and a seconder.
Sorry, that was what I was trying to say. I'd like to propose a change to the structure and sizes of the committees as mentioned in Appendix 2.
Have we got a seconder? Councillor Knowles. Councillor Gill.
Okay, thank you. Firstly, I'd like to thank Councillor Richard Cleaver and Councillor Ashley Baxter for showing us these changes on Sunday evening so that I could discuss them with the South Kesteven Coalition. It should be said that we've had less time to discuss them than it took them to vote, and count again their own leadership ballot. But nevertheless, we did see them before the meeting. But fellow councillors, there's been something of a miracle occurred here. During the last council, Councillor Baxter and Councillor Cleaver were fully seized of the need for a constitutional review of scrutiny. This council paid external consultants to do a review of that scrutiny process at their request. The review recommended the removal of the power of patronage of the leader. When the removal of the leader's patronage wasn't implemented, Councillor Baxter and Councillor Cleaver expressed a lot of concern. Today, these are the very same councillors that are dishing out these positions to paper over the cracks in a coalition or in a grouping. Cured of their belief that the leader should not have the power to mark their own homework, and healed of the desire that the leader should not have a hand in scrutiny, it feels as if there's been a conversion against the ideas that chairs of committees should be decided on merit alone. This conversion, it seems to have coincided with them taking the leadership and the deals that must have been done behind closed doors to characterise the supply and confidence arrangements. I will resist this to comment on this in greater detail, but the larger concern we have is that of cost. There are 32 jobs that have been created in these additional committees, including cabinets and various roles across the council. And our concern is in cost. In combination with the need to give extra cabinet jobs, our calculations suggest that these raw proposals may add an extra £228,661 over 4 years in extra allowances to councillors. A Band D council tax bill, South Kesteven District Council get £159. That means that we're steering council tax of 332 Band D properties, 332 Band D houses, away from frontline services and into the pockets of councillors. Is this really what we stood for election on? After last year's scrutiny, the council agreed just 3 scrutiny committees and 7 cabinet members at a cost of £136,615. In actual fact, the independent scrutiny review recommended just 2 scrutiny committees. What was implemented represented a 10% saving on the previous years. Therefore, whilst we recognise some of the concerns, we cannot support this primarily based upon cost and the fact that this hasn't been through the structures of governance and audit and been out for consultation. We will continue to defend the council taxpayer from the cost of keeping this coalition, this grouping together. An extra £229,000 without the proper consultation is concerning to us on this side of the House and feels like a chaotic way to start this administration. Thank you.
Councillor Robbins.
Thank you, Chairman, and congratulations on your appointment, and looking forward to the next year. Figures have been mentioned, but I'd like to put into reality, into perspective, what the equivalent of a £60,000 yearly budget will buy this council. it would remove the park attendants. We could spend the money to save the upkeep of all the district public conveniences. 60,000 would take away our much-needed citizens' advice funding. It would end SK Today, which is the much-read In Touch magazine of the council. 60,000 a year equates to 90% contribution to Grantham Market and the 70% equivalent of the community fund allocation. So I think you'll all agree and join me in agreeing that these very transparent services really should take precedence over the increased allowances for an increased number of positions that this administration will burden this council with. Therefore, I cannot support this. Thank you.
Councillor Ben Green.
Thank you very much, Madam Chairman. Congratulations on your appointments. This new alliance has got more flavours than a bucket of Neapolitan ice cream. And as the number of flavours goes up, as we know, so does the cost. So what a sorry start to see. So it's an extra £50,000 per year. We're looking at over £200,000 for the remainder of the term. That could very well clean the A1, which is of huge significance and importance to my residents. Why not redirect that money towards that valued cause and advertise South Kesteven as the clean, green and safe district that we all want to see? Thank you.
Councillor Paul Wood.
Thank you for the second time, Madam Chairman. I tried the first time and failed. I'll see if I can try again. I'm surprised you're proposing this increase in the number of committees. I certainly can't support it. I do recall, and you must well recall, the scrutiny review, and you, Councillor Cleaver and Councillor Baxter, did complain that it wasn't being implemented, and now you're actually going against that scrutiny review and increasing the number of committees. I think we all know that the budget will be tight this next year. The finances need to be looked at. You've said that, and I welcome that, but we're going to have to look quite closely, maybe cutting things down. And you're proposing quite a big increase. That's not really acceptable, is it? Surely the public don't want you to. They didn't elect us to do that. You're proposing quite a big increase. You're giving the councillors more money, and we're going to have to look at cutting services. That could mean £200,000 spent over the next 4 years, a reduction in some services. We don't want to be reducing services. We want to be at least maintaining them and probably increasing them. I don't think there's any need to increase the number of committees and increase the cost on the council to do that. So, sorry. Thank you.
Councillor Penny Milnes.
Thank you. Yes. I think mistakes historically were made, and particularly with regard to housing. However, from a low base, which resulted in shortcomings across the authority, these problems have begun to be addressed over the last few years, and significant progress has been made in introducing reliable monitoring schemes to maintain and expand upon improvements. And I take my hat off to our Chief Executive and the corporate management team that have been put in place to make these improvements. Committee scrutiny is all very well and good, but what is crucial is the quality of timely information provided to each committee, not necessarily an increase in the number of committees. What is required, and I have quite a few ideas on that with different types of audits, and I think, you add that to the justification against spending more money on councillor allowances, I think, and hitting our services, which we really do need to protect as our core reason for being here. Thank you.
Councillor Mark Whittington.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chairman, and many congratulations on your appointment to the role, and also to Councillor Fellows as well on your appointment. In the last council, I was chairman of the Constitution Committee, which did a review into the Constitution and considered the number of committees in quite detail for about an 18-month period. We also had the scrutiny review. Now, we went through a very, very in-depth process, looking at scrutiny, looking at the number of committees, and finally coming up with some proposals which went to the last council of the last term. And now it just seems as if there's whim of the new leadership that 18-month work is just going to be thrown up in the air and everything ignored, and these recommendations made without any scrutiny, without it going to governance and audit, who are the replacements for the Constitution Committee. And to me, there's been no chance for these proposals to be given the full in-depth analysis and consideration that they merit. The cost impact has always been made by several people on this side of the chamber. And coming back to the very good point that Councillor Green made about the A1, one of my last emails I sent in my capacity as the previous portfolio holder for waste services was to find out how much it would cost to clear the rubbish from the side of the A1 from Stamford to Newark. The figure came back about £100,000. So I would say that that is one example of where we could actually spend this money a lot better and actually give a really good impression of South Kesteven. Point that Councillor Milnes has also raised as well. It's not the quantity of scrutiny that's important, Madam Chairman, it's the quality. We can have 5, we can have 10, we can have 15 scrutiny committees. If we haven't got the quality, it's not going to matter. For me, the crucial thing is keep the existing structure that was agreed by the previous council, following the constitution review, and actually look at providing members on those scrutiny committees with sufficient training to enable them to be effective scrutineers. Quality, Madam Chairman, rather than quantity. I cannot support this recommendation. Thank you.
Councillor Charmaine Morgan.
Thank you. I put my light on when Councillor Gill first got up on his statement.
So did I.
Sorry, it's not registered, Virginia.
It has.
Well, sorry, Councillor Charmaine Morgan. I'll go to you next, Virginia. I'll go to you next. Maybe next.
Yeah, first of all, I would like to say congratulations to Councillor Cleaver and to Councillor Ashley Baxter. This is my 4th term, and I've never heard such a moving and heart-rendering speech by, hopefully, a leader of our council. I think Councillor Cleaver's speech touched on everything that our communities care about, everything that our group, our alliance stands for. And in a way, the comments that have been coming on, I'm really sad about this, from the Conservative side, reflect the difference in our values. Because we want scrutiny, because we've got people who haven't had heating and hot water in their property for years. We've got residents who can't walk down the street safely at night, who are being burgled, who have got concerns about security and safety in the community. We have got a constitution that was actually agreed by handfuls of people and then rubber-stamped through at very short notice, with significant changes made only a few days before. If we want to talk about money, I really think the administration needs to look at where they were 2 terms ago and where we are now in the finances. We don't have that letter, there's no money left in the pot. We're worse than that. We're now negative. And we are going to have to try and fix the mess that's been made. Not only have you left us generally in the negative, but you've been asset stripping as well on the quiet. So you listen to yourselves. We have a task, and those scrutiny committees are needed because we collectively will be working together, and we have offered generously places to you that would never, ever have been offered by, dare I say, Callum Cook in the past, chairs. We are opening up the doors to every member in this room and officers to put forward their ideas, to come and work together. If you don't want to work together, if you want to work in opposition, that's great, but the public will know it. Thank you.
Councillor Virginia Moran.
Thank you. I'm absolutely fascinated that all the Conservative group are railing at the extra positions on the different committees. And I've got a brilliant solution. You think there's too many people on them? remove yourselves off them. There you go. As a swoop. Don't take us up on them, and then we'll be back to where we were before. There's a phrase, looking a gift horse in the mouth, you know. The only other thing I wanted to say is, Councillor Woods, I think you have got some brass neck reminding us of our election promises.
Councillor Helen Crawford. Councillor Crawford.
Thank you. For clarification, Councillor Moran, you get no additional funding for sitting and being a member on a committee, only if you are chairman or vice chairman. And thank you, Councillor Morgan, for reminding us that I believe the last Labour government left nothing in the coffers when they left office. Madam Chairman, thank you. I'm speaking now. You've had your chance. Thank you. Madam Chairman, I'm concerned the additional time that officers will spend on reports to the additional committees, this will detract them from doing their day-to-day duty which they were employed for. Thank you.
Councillor Richard Cleaver.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I just want to make a couple of points on this. What we're actually debating now is the size and number of the committees. We're not debating anything to do with patronage. I have to correct Councillor Gill. This debate has nothing to do with patronage. This is an open vote, unwhipped on our side, regarding the size and number of committees. I am not exercising any patronage over that whatsoever. And in relation to the alleged patronage in terms of giving out committee chairs and vice chairs, again, that is not in the gift of the leader of the council and never has been under our constitution. It is in the gift of this council, again, on our side, on a free vote. When the suggestions are announced, I think it's the next part of this item, anyone is free to put in an amendment if they don't like the names of the chairs and vice chairs that have been put forward as a consented and agreed proposal from all those that have been involved in those negotiations since Sunday. So just to correct what we're doing here, I would also say that I fear there has been some exaggeration. We are talking about adding 2 additional committees, which is going back to reverting back to a situation which was already in place. And I consider that to be very necessary in order for us to ensure that decision making over the next 4 years is better informed and is better held to account. And I commend the Council to support this amendment, support this proposal.
Karen Bradford.
Thank you, Chairman. Can I just seek some clarity, please, from Councillor Baxter? You did propose Appendix 2. Is that including Appendix 3, which is the remits as well? I'm assuming that you have, but just for clarity, it's Appendix 2 and Appendix 3, and your proposal, and when you got Councillor Knowles seconded you.
Thank you for the question. I've been on to modgov.whatsit. I haven't got these in front of me. I hesitate to say it, but I haven't got the chairs of committees from the other side yet. So if
Councillor Baxter, Appendix 3 is the remits of the committees that you will have in your packs.
That's in the main agenda?
Yes.
That's the one in the main agenda. It's just that your proposal was around Appendix 2, but it is Appendix 2 linked to Appendix 3, just for clarity for Council today.
Yes, I'm told that that's what I mean, yes.
Thank you, Councillor Baxter. And Councillor Knowles, are you quite happy to second Appendix 2 and Appendix 3, just for clarity? Thank you.
Councillor Baxter.
Is it my turn to sum up? No. Okay.
Councillor Lee Steptoe.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair, and congratulations on your elevation to your role. Labour wishes the new administration well. No surprise there whatsoever. We will constructively work with the new administration when we agree with it, but we are not formally part of it, and if and when we disagree with it, we will hold it to account without fear or favour. That said, the absolute irony of the Tory group talking about looking after taxpayers' money and making savings. Let me just, I've said all this so many times before, but let me just run through it really quickly for the benefit of new members. Outsourcing, insourcing, outsourcing, insourcing. Do the hokey-cokey, shake it all about. The party of free enterprise. Okay? Trying to outsource council businesses. What an absolute blinding success that has been. What an absolute saving for the taxpayer that has been under the Cook administration. One vanity project after another. A statue out there that probably up to half the town didn't want. A proposed university centre in the cinema. Again, I spoke at length about that. Didn't even bother consulting with the FE College a quarter of a mile up the road that has had an arrangement with De Montfort University in Leicester for pushing 20 years. Okay, 900k proposal to put a customer service desk in the cinema. All kinds of rumours about the library moving. The list is endless. How dare they come here and try to lecture us about trying to save the taxpayer money? My goodness. My goodness. As regards the specific question of scrutiny, well, yeah, the Tory position is the usual Tory position. They want minimum standards. They are stripping our public services to the bone, okay? And that is their whole ethos, that the state plays as little role as possible as people starve, can't afford their electric and gas bills, and the country goes to the dogs. Labour welcomes scrutiny. As much scrutiny as possible. And when this alliance gets things wrong, and it will, we will be the first to point that out.
Councillor Peter Stevenson.
Peter Stevens. Thank you very much. Just to clarify that. Well, it's lovely to be back. I was a councillor for 12 years between, I think it was 2008 and 19 or whatever it was anyway, 2007. And a lot of new faces, but a few old ones. But I must say, it's actually going to be rather good fun. Have a bit of repartee and badinage, I think is the word. But I would implore, I must be respectful to the opposition, my opponents, the administration, that whilst the new leader cleverly is harmonic and harmonious, some of these representations really are remarkably, shall I use the word aggressive? I think it's not really that necessary. But I particularly congratulate the new leader on effectively writing the title for the Grantham Journal article, Jobs for the Boys. Well done.
Councillor Philip Knowles.
Yes, thank you, Chair. I'm afraid Lee Steptoe, as very often done in the past, has pinched a lot of my what I was going to say. But I find it insulting that the Tories can start talking to us about wasting money. Where is Lane? Our own land. We built houses, we built shops on it, and lost £500,000 doing so. You know, the waste of money with scaffolding in Folkingham, with all sorts of things, housing, with being in government administration, how much has that cost over the years? So don't talk to us about wasting money. It is not as much as you predicted, and in relative terms to what you've lost in the last 4 years, it is nothing. The cinema, as other people have mentioned. The other thing is, I find it was remarkably silent. You know, when we had the discussions before, silent from that end of the... Never said a word, because they'd all been told what was going to happen, what was, going to happen, and how they were going to vote at the end of the day, and so they didn't need to say anything. All these sudden people jump out of the ranks and all have something to say. Well, we had something to say before, and they're welcome to what they say, and they're welcome to challenge us. We will make scrutiny more transparent. We have plans to do so already. The increase in number of scrutiny places is an indication of that, and the cost of it is not a considerable concern compared with what's already been wasted by the Tory group. Thank you. I think it was Mark that said about the quality of scrutiny. I find that most remarkable thing of all, because we had no quality at all of scrutiny over the last 4 years. None. We were told what was happening. We were told all the chairs were Conservative, all the vice chairs, nearly all, but vice chairs were Conservative, apart from Paul, of course, who apparently isn't a Conservative. He's not a Conservative. He's some other group, alliance group or whatever. However, so scrutiny will be better because it will be more open, more transparent, and we will be taking more notice of in the Cabinet. Because anything that came through, even when Councillor Gill was Chair of Finance, it went up, nothing ever came down. How many times have I said to you that? And you agreed with me then, Graham. So lots of things went up from the scrutiny committees, but nothing came back to change anything that was there. It was a done deal before it ever came to this meeting, or any of the meetings, even the committee meetings. It was a done deal. It will not be like that in future. There will be opportunity for real scrutiny and real challenge and real change, when scrutiny comes about. We will be doing the job properly, the scrutiny, not, maybe with a couple of a few £1,000s more. But we have one less cabinet member, have we not? We have one less cabinet member, so that's some saving that goes towards that as well. You didn't mention that, but there we are. So there's lots of reasons why initial response, it had to be, and I respect Graham for having to make this appeal to challenge us in our first meeting. But a lot of things will change. Wait, watch, and you will see things change. Some you'll like, and some you won't like, I assume. But you will see things change of how we do things and how we manage this council going forward. It is going to be difficult. Of course it is. It's obvious it's going to be difficult. We're nearly at a balance. But what will happen is there'll be an effort to try and change things, to try and do things better, and to try and administer better, to try and do all the other things better. And we will work hard at doing that. And we will present the opportunity for people to scrutinise it and criticise it. And, if necessary, we'll change it. Thank you.
Yes, you may.
Councillor Knowles said something not quite right. He raised the issue that I was the only person that had got a position on a committee. That's not actually correct. Councillor Anna Kelly was Vice Chairman of the Employment Committee, and Councillor Penny Mills was Vice Chairman of the Planning Committee. So I was not the only person. Thank you.
Councillor Ian Selby.
Thank you very much.
You'll notice when you check the actual thing, I said nearly all the positions were taken.
Councillor Selby.
Thank you very much indeed, Madam Chairman. First of all, warmest congratulations to Councillor Cleaver and Councillor Baxter. Absolutely delighted for them. At the start of this particular debate, Madam Chairman, there was an insinuation that deals had been made with regarding the way this process is. I'd just like to say. The grant of independence, they've given me the honour of leading their group, and they are they're a wonderful group of councillors, Madam Chairman, with the highest levels of honesty and integrity. And I would like to say that the grant of independence have had no part whatsoever in any deals that may or may not have taken place. Certainly, from our perspective, Madam Chairman, the grant of independence, nothing to do with anything like that whatsoever. A lot of comments have been said. Totally agree with lots that's been said, so well done on them comments. I shan't repeat them. Grant of Independence, Madam Chairman, we're so much looking forward to this new era, an opportunity where the people will be put first and foremost, and the people that need our support the most. And I would also like to say, Madam Chair, we are very much as well looking forward to working with our officers and our staff as well, Madam Chair. We're looking forward to that so much. So thank you very much. It's this golden era that's coming up. Thank you.
Councillor Phil Dilks.
Thanks, Madam Chairman. Congratulations to you and to our new leader and deputy leader. I'm amazed. I don't know if you're aware on the other side that it's not going to be like it was at the start of the last term when the Independents increased their presence in this council. We doubled it. And what happened was the Conservatives then halved our... they absolutely wiped us out of the chair of scrutiny and so on. It is true that a couple of places came back to named individuals very late on in the day. Too late, frankly. But that's where we are. So, you know, ironic or what? A constituent phoned me yesterday, Madam Chairman. I listen to constituents who vote for me, or whoever they vote for. And this guy said, you got a meeting tomorrow, haven't you? Is it the first meeting? I said, yeah, of the new council. All right. He said, can you ask him a question? I said, yeah, go on then. He said, can you ask? He said, since the leader of the Conservative council, who's got elected, who got lost his seat at the election, since we're not going to get the benefit of the training that he received at Harvard Business School in America, only a few weeks or months ago, he said, can you just ask him, how are we going to get that money back? I'm sure after what we've heard from Councillor Gill and all his mates, that they will be on that one. And actually, while they're about it, they might actually tell us sometime when and how that expenditure of thousands of pounds of public money for that training, how that was approved by this council. Yes. I would really like to see that.
Thank you, Councillor Dilks. Councillor Baxter, would you like to sum up on... just one moment. Councillor Baxter, are you going to sum up now on item 2, recommendation 2, or have you got some more things you would like to say? Are we asking to sum up?
Councillor Baxter, if you can just sum up, it's just that of the report, we're just noting recommendation 1. What we've just debated is recommendation 2, and then we're going to have to go on to the other recommendations. So if you could just sum up now on recommendation 2, and we can take the vote on recommendation 2, would be helpful.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you all for your input to this. It's good to hear contributions from all sides of the chamber. The road to Damascus is a good news story. It's about people changing their mind, and certainly some of us have had a Damascus experience, and it's good to see that the Conservatives are now suddenly worried about money. I thought that Councillor Steptoe and Councillor Knowles were going to go through an exhaustive list of the money that has been lost by the Conservative group over the last few years. Yesterday, a returning Conservative councillor said to me after a training session, during the last 4 years that I've not been here, where's all the money gone? We had £30,000 in reserves. £30 million in reserves. Where's it gone? Well, some of it, £3 million, to Invest SK. Where was the scrutiny on that? Environment SK. Invented and then disbanded. £400,000 that cost for council. The loan has still not been paid back. The Gravitas, you mentioned Gravitas, £400,000, after which the person who was the chair of the committee that set up Gravitas, after it had all flopped on its face, he then said, well, clearly we're not property developers. A bit late to realise that. So Councillor Whittington had an issue around the quality and the quantity. I think you're allowed to have both. You're allowed to have quantity and quality. So we want scrutiny that works, and we will offer training to people who are going on to regulatory committees and to scrutiny committees for those who need it. And it will be in the UK. We won't be flying everybody, or we won't be having people in Harvard. So the scrutiny review, your other criticism of the proposal, Councillor Gill, was that we've rejected the results of the scrutiny review, which, I might add, was gathering dust on someone's desk for the best part of a year before it was even looked at, and then it was looked at, and bits of it were rejected. And part of the bit that was rejected was about the leader and the deputy leader facing challenge and facing scrutiny. We welcome scrutiny. I think the phrase is iron sharpens iron, or steel sharpens steel. We welcome your input. We welcome your challenging constructive questions, and that's why we need this list of committees. Thank you.
Can we now please go to the vote? Those in favour, please raise your hands. Those against? That was carried. Thank you.
Madam Chairman, so point 2 was carried, so we do have now the new structure for committees with the new size of committees. So therefore, we need to move to recommendation 3 to appoint members to the committees and panels taking account of the required political balance. As that has just been done and we haven't received as officers all the committees, can I suggest a delegation to group leaders to confirm members of committees before next Thursday? Would that be acceptable?
Councillor Baxter?
Chair, that would be acceptable. I would like to go through the chairs and vice chairs of the committees. I think that would be helpful.
Madam Chairman, that's actually recommendation 4, which we have to do because it has to be appointment at council, but not for the full membership of the committees. So if I can suggest a delegation on recommendation 3 to the group leaders to agree the full membership of all the committees, and then we can go on to recommendation 4, which is the chairman and the vice chairman appointments.
I'll propose that formally, if I may.
Have we got a seconder? Can we go to the vote, please? All those 4. For recommendation 3.
Yes. Yeah.
That's carried. We can now go to recommendation 4.
So can we now go to recommendation 4 for the appointments of chairman and vice chairman? I think Councillor Baxter is putting some proposals forward.
Thank you. So we have 10 committees. I think there might also be an appeals panel or something like that that I haven't got a name for. However, we have, the argument is already rehearsed about handing some of the patronage over to the other side. And if it's down to me, yes, I want to remove the patronage of those committees, but not at the very first meeting. I think that might be chaotic. So, the Culture and Leisure Overview Scrutiny Committee, we propose Paul Fellows as the Chair and James Denniston as the Vice Chair. The Housing Overview Scrutiny Committee, we propose Virginia Moran as the Chair and Lee Steptoe as the Vice Chair. The Communities Committee... the Rural and Communities Committee, we've asked for a nomination for the Chair from the group. Would you like to join in?
Yeah, so our nomination for the Chair of Communities is Councillor Nicky Mansfield.
Thank you. Good choice. She's very good. The Vice Chair, Steve Cunnington. The Finance and Economic Development and Corporate Services Overview and Scrutiny Committee, our nomination is to...
Nomination for the Chair of the Finance Committee is Councillor Mark Whittington.
Our Deputy Vice Chair for that committee is Bridget Lay. I've not done Environment. Our Chair of Environment Committee is Councillor Ian Selby. Long overdue for Ian Selby to take part in these committees. Our Vice Chair for the Environment Overview and Scrutiny Committee is Emma Baker, Councillor Emma Baker. I now move on to the regulatory committees. The Licensing Committee and the Planning Committee, the nominations are...
Thank you. Our recommendation for the Chairman of the Planning Committee is Councillor Dave Bellamy, and our recommendation for the Chairman of the Licensing Committee is Councillor Pam Bosworth.
Thank you for that. Continuity is the key, and it's very welcome to have those people back to their posts, and congratulate them on the work that they've done so far. The Vice Chair of Licensing will be Elvis Stook. The Vice Chair of Planning will be Charmaine Morgan. The Chair of Governance and Audit Committee will be Tim Harrison, and the Chair of the Standards Committee will be Harish Bisnath Singh. But those two committees, Governance and Standards, we've asked for a nomination.
Okay, thank you. The Vice Chair of the Standards Committee will be Councillor Sarah Trotter, and the Vice Chair of Governance and Audit will be Councillor Paul Wood. Thank you.
The Standards Committee, I've done that one. So I think the final committee is the Employment Committee, that will be chaired by Councillor Annie Kelly and vice chaired by Councillor Pam Bird. That concludes, I believe. Yes.
Have we got a seconder for that, please? Councillor Cleaver. Can we go to the vote, please? All those in favour, please raise your hands. Against. Any against? Any abstentions? That's carried. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. So, if we can now go to recommendation 5, please, for consideration of this report. This is to approve the rate of special responsibility allowance for the Chairman of Standards Committee and the Vice Chairman of Standards Committee, where we have consulted the Independent Remuneration Panel. Thank you.
Great. I'd like to propose formally, please.
Have we got a seconder? Can we take a vote, please? Those in... Councillor Whittington.
Yeah, thanks, Madam Chairman. Just a question, Councillor Baxter. Just to clarify, it's not the same, and maybe the officers can help. It's not the same as the full allowance given to chairman of regulatory committees. Can I just ask the basis upon just on which these numbers have been agreed? That's all. It's just a point of clarification, nothing more. Thank you.
Graham Watts.
Did you want to? Have I got Councillor Gill's comments for the whole of this meeting? Do
you want to do it?
If you want to speak to me, Phil, have a
Please, I won't have rudeness. Please, can we settle down and let's get on with this business and get this meeting finished? Thank you. Councillor Baxter.
Thank you. The rate has been reviewed by the independent remuneration panel, which is independent of the council, let alone of the council laws. If the officers wish to add anything to that, I'd be quite happy for them to do so.
Graham Watts.
Thank you, Chairman. Yes, so we obviously have to set a special responsibility allowance for the committee, for the Chairman and Vice Chairman, in consultation with the Chairman of the Independent Remuneration Panel. Given the anticipated frequency of the committee, on an interim basis, they've recommended that it's the same as the former Constitution Committee allowance. So it's not a made-up figure, it's based on a previous allocation in the scheme. Thank you.
Councillor Anna Kelly.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. For clarity, could you just say again, Councillor Baxter, which committee...
Would you stand up, please, Councillor Kelly? Thank you.
Could you say the name of the person you nominated for the committee? So I don't think your microphone was working at the time, and I couldn't hear what you were saying. I heard Paul, but I heard nothing else. Thank you.
Sorry, which one are we talking about?
I think it was the Standards Committee that you were just talking about now.
The chair of that committee, Harish Bisnath Singh, and the vice chair, Sarah Trotter.
But that is because I don't have any paperwork here. Although I have asked for written documents for everything that we do, I have not got a copy to follow, so I can't remember all the committee members off by heart. Thank you for...
Could we take a vote, please? Those in favour, please raise your hands. Those against? Any abstentions? That's carried. We'll now move on to item 6 on this agenda.
Thank you, Chairman. So recommendation 6 just seeks some clarity about an allowance that's paid to what I refer to as opposition group leaders. So this would be, obviously at the moment there are lots of groups on the council following the elections and the formation of different individual groups. What normally would happen is that the opposition groups, the leader of the opposition groups would all receive a proportion of the special responsibility allowance allocated to opposition group leaders. I'm just seeking clarity that every group leader would receive their respective amount on a pro rata basis from that allowance, except the leader of the council. So just seeking clarity. It's pro rata based on the number of members per group that the leader is responsible for. So I just wanted clarity that is what you're asking the council to put in place.
Have we got someone that would recommend this? Councillor Knowles.
I don't want the bit. Put it in the office charity box.
Councillor Baxter.
I think already we've challenged the status quo in the way things are done in this chamber. We've got quite a lot of group leaders who are now part of the administration. I believe I'm right. Part of the administration, I'm part of the cabinet. If I believe all councillors can only take one allowance, so in most cases, only one allowance is taken from. So it wouldn't make any difference because the allowance that was available would be less than the allowance that the person was getting through being a chair or a cabinet member, and therefore they wouldn't get it anyway. So it's an academic thing. I think the only group leader that it would make a difference to would be the Labour group that don't have a position of authority, although you do have a position of authority, you have a vice chair, yeah. So I think this might be an academic argument because we don't have any leaders that don't already... If someone's willing to do that, then there should be a bit of remuneration. Obviously, the opposition leader, I'm sure he deserves some remuneration too, yeah. I don't know how he feels about the leader of the Green Group having something similar, or a bit.
Councillor Gill.
Having seen no background on this or any of the numbers or things, I sort of feel as if we've been bounced into this. Can I suggest that we refer this to a future meeting and have discussions with the leaders that are here? Thank you.
Would welcome that, and I would recommend that we refer this matter to the Governance and Audit Committee with full paperwork and discussion, and we can. I don't want to spend 18 months on it, but they will have a detailed, open, frank, collaborative discussion. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Baxter. I've just got Councillor Mark Whittington wishing to speak on this subject.
Yes, Madam Chairman. Again, it was a point of clarity because at the moment, all of us are entitled to the basic allowance. And then the special responsibility allowance is on top of that. And I'm just a bit confused by everything that's going on. So I think, actually, Councillor Baxter, the best thing to do is as you suggest. Let Governance and Audit do it, but possibly set them at some kind of time framework that maybe we want a decision possibly by the summer recess. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for that. We will now move on to item 10, programme of meetings of council and committees.
We need to vote on the proposal.
We need to.
You need to. It needs to be proposed and seconded, and then you need to.
Can we have a proposer, please, to defer this to Governance and Audit? Thank you very much. Councillor Baxter, Councillor Selby, second. And can we go to a vote, please? Was in favour? Against? No. That motion's carried. Thank you. Now we will move on to item 10. Programme of meetings of council and committees for 23-24. The next item is to agree the council programme of meetings for 23-24. Chief Executive, please could you present the report?
Thank you, Madam Chairman. The version in your pack today is, of course, based on the framework of the Constitution prior to this meeting. So my proposal, Madam Chairman, is to take the calendar of meetings as set out, but also seek a delegation from Council for me to agree dates with the new chairman and vice chairman of the two new committees, and then circulate a document as soon as those dates have been agreed.
Is there a proposer for this recommendation? Thank you, Councillor Whittington. And Councillor Cleaver, thank you. Can we now go to the vote, please? Oh, OK, Councillor Dilks.
Thanks, Madam Chairman. In almost a quarter of a century of serving variously on the County Council, albeit with a couple of gaps, I've got to say, and for the past 12 years on this council, always in opposition, I've got to say I've never dared think that this wonderful day might come. I'm sure we'll improve the way that we do things as we move on. I would like to say it's great to see so many new faces on this side and your side, the other side, and also a few old retreads like me. I look forward to all of us, new and not so new, actually trying to work together across the chamber for the benefit of the people of South Key and make us more accessible, open and accountable. And with that in mind, I'd like to see the times of our public meetings reviewed. I understand that according to the Constitution, each committee of this council is able to make its own start time. And can I therefore ask that at the first meeting of all the new committees, that consideration is given to timings of meetings, the start time, and whether it might be appropriate to think at least some meetings would be better starting with an evening start time. And while I'm about it, can I also ask I'm also minded that the 1 o'clock starts that we have at full council came in some years ago. We always used to have a 2:30 start. And I'm aware that many people find that, particularly if they have the benefit of being in work, in real work, that they, and I have experienced it myself in the past. A 1 o'clock start means you generally that you'd have to take pretty much a full day to allocate to a council meeting. In my former job, I'm happy to be retired now, but I used to have to take a full day off for most of my council meetings because I'd be commuting to London. But what I'm saying is I would ask the Governance and Audit Committee, may I ask the Governance and Audit Committee at its first meeting to consider, and I know not everyone is of the same opinion as me, it's a question for debate, not to be had today, but I think the Governance and Audit would be beneficial if at their first meeting they considered coming back to this council with a report on whether or not we should be changing the start times of full council meetings. Thank you, Madam Chairman.
Thank you, Councillor Dilks. I'll hand over to the CEO.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. New title already. Can I just refer members to part 6.1 of the Constitution and its time and place of meetings. The time and place of meetings will be determined by the Chief Executive and notified in summons. So if the chairman of what you're proposing, Councillor Dilks, is that the chairman of each one of the councils will need to consult with me, and then of course I need to consult with trade unions around what time the staff will be working to and from to see if that is reasonable. As for the decision of the time of the council, I propose that if there is proposals for changing the start time of the councils, that it comes to this council meeting at the next council meeting as a recommendation to change that, and it's a decision of council and it isn't my decision. And that was just for clarity. Sorry, was there a comment? I didn't hear it. Was there something else said then? I couldn't hear you. No. Oh.
Councillor Selby.
I was just thinking, Madam Chairman, it might be helpful if there's some liaison with the County Council on this issue.
Madam Chairman, can I just advise, for the last 3 months we've been consulting with the County Council and other bodies on their meeting schedule. There still may be some clashes because the County Council hadn't confirmed all their meeting dates at the time that we were trying. We were on version 6 of our calendar at the time, but we try to minimise any clashes that we have, and along with conferences and party conferences. So thank you, Councillor Selby.
Sorry.
No, I wouldn't want that. I wouldn't want that title at any time, Councillor Selby. Thank you. So, is it possible to have a proposer and a seconder then to accept the calendar as written, and with a delegation to myself to consult with the chairman and vice chairman of each of the new committees, and then a renowned calendar is then recirculated?
Councillor Sharrock, would you like to press your button in future because your name doesn't come up unless you press your button?
Which button? Oh, I have pressed it, yeah. Sorry. I'm just following on from Councillor Dilk's proposal. Where does that now? Is that a recommendation that now goes to governance and audit? Is that what the council's agreed? Because he said it, but I'm not quite sure whether that's really clear that it's going to go to governance and audit to actually look at reviewing the timings of meetings, etc. If it's not, then I'm quite happy to move a motion without notice at this point in time, to make that happen. I just think we need to be really clear about that, or it'll just drift, basically. So I'm quite happy to move that motion without notice. I'm sure Councillor Dilks will support me on that, which is a proposal, a recommendation that all council meetings, including ordinary council meetings, and their timings are reviewed through the Governance and Audit Committee with a recommendation back to the July Council.
Madam Chairman, I thought that's what I'd said, that it'd come to the next council meeting. Also, the fact is that I need to consult if there's any further change from daytime meetings to evening meetings, that needs to be consulted with the trade unions in reference to the impact on the staff. So if members are happy with that, and please be aware, in the Constitution, it isn't a decision of council, it is my decision.
Sorry, I just need to come back on that. In terms of the ordinary council meetings, the ordinary council meetings are a decision of council. So in terms of the timings, just to clarify, is that something that can be looked at by governance audit, and they could make recommendations back here, or committee timings are something that you would have to go off and obviously do the appropriate consultations on. And can governance and audit actually just make a recommendation, all of that, given your advice in relation to your negotiations with trade unions in relation to that? So really, I just want to refer it to governance and audit, and that's really clear from this meeting that governance and audit are going to do that.
Madam Chairman, if I can respond, governance and audit can consider the council meeting timings, but the committee meeting timings is as per the Constitution is a decision for myself after consultation. If there are changes, that will have that consultation with the staff. So there's no reason why the Governance and Audit Committee can't make a recommendation to the July council meeting for the timings of the council meeting, and then that will change them from the September meeting.
Councillor Selby.
Just very briefly, Madam Chairman, what would be helpful as new chairman of the Environment Overview and Scrutiny Committees? Obviously, at this point in time, I don't know what the makeup of which councillors will be on that committee. So it would be helpful if I can have a conversation with Councillor Gill and to find out if there's any of those members will be county council members, if there's any got double hats on or what have you. So when we get to that point, we'll have a little bit clearer picture of what we could put forward as our times, and so I'm sure from that perspective you'll understand where I'm coming from. Thank you.
Councillor Charmaine Morgan.
Yeah, thank you. It may have just been answered but by our Chief Exec, but some of our committees are regulatory committees, and I'm very mindful that obviously you need appropriate public notice for those. We've got some actually coming up there monthly as well in planning. We've got notice coming up, but am I correct that we'll stick to the agenda that's currently published until, I think you said, September? Is that correct? So everybody knows where they stand. Oh, but if it's the next full council, we've got some before then. So can we have clarity over that?
Thank you, Madam Chairman. If I can just respond to that. The regulatory committees of licensing and planning, of course, we do need to take into consideration there's businesses that attend those meetings and developers and architects, and normally they are in the daytime. But those stay the same unless the chairman of those committees and vice chairmen of committees present to me that they would like to change the timings, and then I need to give that consideration and look at the implications of that. But it's just the council meeting that Councillor Shorrock proposed propose that goes to governance and audit, that comes back here to July's meeting with any changes, which then would come into play in the September. Okay.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Right, can we go to the vote, ladies and gentlemen, please? Those for, please raise your hands. Councillor Baxter?
I confess that I'm not clear of what we're voting on. Are we voting on the calendar of meetings? Okay, smash it.
So just to help members, we're voting on the calendar of meetings as per the council pack, with the delegation to myself to consult with Chairman and Vice Chairman of Environment and Housing scrutiny committees, to then after that to circulate the final calendar of meetings.
Can we go to the vote now, please? Those in favour, please raise your hands. Thank you. Those against? Any abstentions? That motion's carried. Thank you. Appointments of representatives to outside bodies. We move on to the appointment of representatives to outside bodies. Could all members please note that both the Upper Witham and Black Sluice Draining Boards are now being appointed to for a 4-year term rather than 3 years as indicated in the published pack. We have also received information that the South Links Fenland Partnership is no longer in operation and therefore does not require an elected member. While there are more nominations than seats, we will use a show of hands for each nomination. The nominations with the majority of votes will therefore be appointed to the available seats on each outside body. Are there any additional nominations which are not on the seats in front of you? Any nominations?
We have no nominations. We weren't given any of them.
Thank you, Chairman. I have got a list of proposed names which Councillor Cleaver provided me with before the meeting. I don't know if you want me to go through that list, Councillor Cleaver. I don't know if it's the most up-to-date, but unless you would like to take members through it.
Councillor Knowles.
And just go through a list. Might I suggest that list is published and given to everybody so they can look at it and read it at the same time? And might I suggest that it's time for a break? It's been 2 hours since we started and it's very hot.
Councillor Knowles, are you proposing an adjournment for 10 minutes? And in the meantime, we'll get this list printed and everybody will get a copy. Have we got a seconder for this motion? Oh, take your pick. All in favour? Thank you. Okay, 10 minutes. If you come back at 10 past 3 roughly, thank you. And gentlemen, you may take your jackets off if you so wish. Thank you. Have you all got a copy of the outside bodies representatives? Can we please have a proposer to accept these? Thank you, Councillor Dixon-Warren. Have we got a seconder? Councillor Harish Bisnas-Singh.
It just pertains to the Elsie Park Community Trust, who have a rule, if you will, that a councillor from SKDC or the Town Council should not live on Elsie Park. If you live on Elsie Park, you can be a trust member as a resident. So specifically, they don't want that to happen. I've had a conversation with my good friend Councillor Baker, and
is it appropriate if I self-propose myself because I sit on the trust as a town council member? I can then sit on the trust as SKDC member, and then the town council can pass on. If it's not appropriate, we just take off Rhys Baker's name because the trust will not accept him as a representative.
Councillor Cleaver, are you happy with that? Have we got a seconder for that? Thank you. Can we go to the vote, please?
Madam Chairman, can I just seek some clarity before we just go forward, please? Thank you. Can I just clarify with members that the Joseph Clark's Apprenticing Foundation, we've only got the one nomination, which is Councillor Selby. Thank you, Councillor Harrison. Can I move forward to the Lincolnshire Waste Partnership? It says Green Party Group nomination. We do actually need to have a name for Council to make the appointment. So is it possible for the Green Party to nominate the person that will be going to the Lincolnshire Waste Partnership, please?
Councillor Rhys Baker.
Can I also confirm we've got 3 seats on the South Kesteven Citizens Advice Bureau, and we do give a considerable grant to this organisation, but we've got 3 seats, but we've only got 2 people proposed as for now. Is there a third nomination? Councillor Dilks.
Madam Chairman, if no one else is guiding for us, as they say, I'd be happy to serve on that. I think it's a wonderful organisation. They've been on it some years ago. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Dilks. And the last one, the Wellings and Deepings Internal Drainage Board. So we have Councillor Dobson and Councillor Baxter. Oops. I'll go back to that one. So we need the 2, it says 2 Green Party Group nominations for, and we need that for the Upper Witham Drainage Board and the Welland and Deeping Internal Drainage Board. So we need the nomination names for those 2, please.
Councillor Stevens.
Councillor Selby has asked me to take his place on the very important Grantham Canal Partnership, and I would love to do that. Thank you.
Councillor Selby.
It's working at your end or not. But however, I just wanted to say that with regard to the Grantham Canal Partnership, the project itself is an absolutely magnificent project. They've got a restoration programme until 2030, yeah, it's something I was interested in. However, you know, as the new chair of the environment, maybe there's some input I could possibly have from that perspective. And yeah, I was aware that Councillor Peter Stevens had an interest in that particular, and I'm absolutely delighted to stand down and offer Councillor Peter Stevens a free run on that. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Councillor Selby, press your button and we'll see if it lights up.
Whilst we're just waiting for those nominations, can I just clarify Councillor Bisnow's thing? Is the charity that you're proposing to go on for the Stamfords, is it the Almshouses charity? Because we haven't got that actually on the list as we sit here today.
I'm already on the Truesdale, and I was asked by the chairman if I would like to continue on that. Truesdale Alms Charity. It's in Scotgate.
Thank you. Yeah, we'll just add it to the list, Councillor Bisnassing.
have the nominations from the Green Party, please, so we can move forward?
Yeah, so if we can do the Upper Witham first, that would be great.
Upper Witham, please, can it be Patsy Ellis and Reece Baker? And for the Welland and Deepings, please, can it be myself and Vanessa Smith, please?
Thank you.
For those amendments, have we got a proposer and a seconder, please? Councillor Baxter proposing. Who's seconding? Councillor Max Sawyer. Can we go for the vote, please? Oh, just one moment.
Can we just confirm, Councillor Bisnow Singh, the one that you've proposed, it's actually a town council position, not a district council position? You're there as a town councillor, not a district councillor, even though you've notified us.
Corrected. I thought I was told it was SKDC position. So, thank you. I was told.
Okay, so we won't include that on the list. So, with that further amendment to take that off the list. So,
Councillor Ian Stokes.
Thank you. I'd just like to point out that the Upper Witham Internal Drainage Board meeting is next Monday afternoon at 2 o'clock. That's Upper Witham.
Councillor Barry Dobson.
Thank you, Chairman. Madam Chairman, I've been on the Greater Lincolnshire Local Enterprise Partnership Energy Council for a number of years now. It stems back to the time when I was a county councillor. I still do attend, and they have accepted me to attend again. Now I've been re-elected, but I want to open it up to make sure that there's only one place on there, and at the moment I have that. So.
Councillor Selby.
Again, Madam Chair, I've only just noticed I'm down for the Joseph Clark's Foundation. Due to time constraints, I'm ever so sorry. I'll have to take my name off that.
What we're doing about Barry?
Okay, so members, so we still have a vacancy on the Joseph Clark Foundation. So is Councillor Morgan proposing herself? Thank you, Councillor Morgan. So that's Councillor Morgan and Councillor Harrison that would be on that outside body. Just to clarify, Councillor Dobson, we haven't got that as an official outside body, so it's not something that we'd offer because you must be just on that, but we haven't been notified by the organisation to propose anybody.
Right, we've now got a proposer, we've got a seconder. Can we go to the vote? All those in favour, please raise your hands. Okay. Any against? That motion's been carried. Thank you. We'll now move on to item 12. Making of Caythorpe and Fryston Neighbourhood Plan. This item is to consider the adoption of making of the Caythorpe and Fryston Neighbourhood Plan. The plan is contained within the background papers for this meeting. Can I hand over to the Director of Growth and Culture and to introduce the report, Nicola McCoy-Brown.
Thank you, Madam Chairman, and good afternoon, elected members. For ease and efficiency, I'm presenting the following two reports jointly on the Caythorpe and Fryston and Rippingale neighbourhood plans. Both plans have been the product of various public consultations and a lot of hard work led by the respective parish councils, supported by our planning officers, and successfully passed referendum on the 4th of May, a day you'll know very well, I'm sure. The next step is for Council to decide whether to make the plan. This essentially means we would adopt the plans so they become part of the Council's local plan, against which planning applications will be assessed. Members, you will see from the papers in front of you, the officer recommendation is both plans should be made. Thank you.
Have we got a seconder for this proposal? Councillor Phil Dilks. Thank you. Yes, Nicholas proposed it.
No, she can't propose.
Oh, right, right. Have we got a member that will propose and one that will second? Thank you very much. Councillor Dilks proposing, Councillor Knowles seconding. Thank you. Oh, sorry. Oh, yes, sorry. Councillor Milnes, sorry.
Proposing, if I may.
Could you stand, please?
If I may say something, because obviously the Caythorpe and Fryston one is in my ward, and the Rippingdale one is in Councillor Dixon Warren's ward. And I'd just like to say that the question that was asked to get community responses was quite straightforward. It was, do you want South Kesteven District Council to use the neighbourhood plan for Caythorpe and Fryston and Rippingdale to help it decide planning applications in the neighbourhood area? I believe the process was very fair and great efforts were made to obtain community responses. Over 38% voted in that, and there was 6% positive vote for making the plan. The examiner's report had minimal comments that have been addressed. Therefore, I think due process has been carried out, and I'm very pleased to propose that these two neighbourhood plans, if Richard is willing, are made. Thank you.
Councillor Baxter.
Thank you, Chair. These plans take a whole load of effort, and it takes an awful lot of anguish and heartache and hours and meetings to get to the point, even to get to the referendum. As I'm sure Councillor Bird will testify as a member of the Deepings Neighbourhood Plan Community Group. So, having got as far as the referendum, having won the referendum, now we need. You know what happens after referendums, don't you? We've got to get it done. Thank you.
Councillor Nick Robbins.
Thank you, Chairman. Yeah, it's vital, as Councillor Baxter alluded to, it's vital that communities have these opportunities to put weight behind planning applications, and the neighbourhood plans do just that. An awful lot of work has gone into preparing these plans, and I would like the Council to recognise the huge commitment that the plan groups have given and the workload that goes with it. Also, thanks to the officers and all of the planning policy team that have made this possible for us to consider it today. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we will go to the vote. Those in favour, please raise your hands. Any abstentions? That motion is carried. Thank you. Agenda item 13, the making of Rippingdale Neighbourhood Plan. This item is to consider the adoption or making of the Rippingdale Neighbourhood Plan. The plan is contained within the background papers for this meeting. Can I hand over to the Director of Growth and Culture to introduce the report? Councillor, promoting you, Nicole McCoy-Brown, please.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Perhaps a vote on that, because I did cover it earlier in my introduction.
Could I have a proposer, please? Could I have a seconder? Thank you. Can we go to the vote? Those in favour, please raise your hands. Is there any against? That motion's carried. Thank you very much. Agenda item 14, Governance and Audit Committee Annual Report for the year ending 31st of March 2023. The next item before Council is the Governance and Audit Committee Annual Report. Could the Chairman of the Governance and Audit Committee for 2022 to 23, Councillor Paul Wood, please present the report. Councillor Paul Wood, please.
Yes. Thank you, Madam Chairman. Yeah, Council. It's been my privilege to be the Chairman of the Governance and Audit Committee for the last year. I've previously been Vice Chairman, and looking forward to the future, I'll be Vice Chairman again, won't I? Councillor Harrison will be Chairman. The first thing is it's good practice that audit committees produce an annual report. That's to promote the role and purpose of the committee and to demonstrate how the committee adds value. And it's also important that the Council realises the Governance and Audit Committee is not a scrutiny committee. It's the Governance and Audit Committee to ensure that the Council has good governance and carries out effective audit, so we can look into things. The Governance and Audit Annual Report is detailed in your papers. There is Appendix A, and there's also a second appendix, which is the work plan going forward. I think the committee's work is key to delivering governance throughout the authority. It provides independent assurance, and on audit it's all about assurance, making sure have we got the assurance that things are going well and things have been carried out correctly. It's a challenge to the effectiveness of the Council's overall arrangements of corporate government and internal control, including risk management. It's good practice to publish the work of the committee and ensure a greater understanding of the governance and audit issue. And as I've said, not everybody quite understands it. Some people think it's a scrutiny committee, and I know I've said that before, but I would emphasise that. It is not a scrutiny committee. Right. It is important that the committee demonstrate the impacts to members. I've probably not got a lot else to say. I look forward to working with Councillor Harrison as chairman, and I'll be vice chairman. I would therefore recommend that the Council accepts the annual report as detailed in the papers. Thank you, Madam Chairman.
Councillor Baxter.
Not much to say on it, other than I believe there is a clerical error in the attendance of meetings. Found at least one of the meetings that I'm marked as absent. I'm there. So, subject to that change, I have no problem with seconding the report.
Councillor Dilks.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. It's on a similar point, and it is on the member attendance chart. And I note that Councillor Murray Turner is noted as being absent for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of the meetings. Well, of course, he only became a councillor at the back end of that, and I think that should at least be noted. He wasn't absent. He couldn't possibly be there. Thank you.
Councillor Mark Whittington.
Yes, thank you. The two I'm listed as attending twice. I did it as a substitute, in a substitute capacity. I wasn't I wasn't an official member of the committee, but because I've done the governance and audit training, on a couple of occasions when Conservative councillors couldn't be there, I attended as a substitute. So I attended twice last year. Thank you.
That's noted. Thank you very much. Councillor Shorrock.
Yeah, just looking at the agenda item on the report, it mentions that this is a report on the work of governance and audit, but also an indicative plan going forward. But I see no indicative plan going forward. Is it the duty of the Governance and Audit Committee to make an indicative plan going forward for the annual council meeting, or would that be something for the new Governance and Audit Committee going forward? Thank you.
Richard Wiles.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for the question. It's actually Appendix 2 of the documentation is the work programme. The work programme of this committee is largely regulatory and prescribed by SITFA and other bodies. So the arrangements of the committee is largely prescribed. Thank you.
Can we go to the vote, please? Those in favour, please raise your hands. Any against? That motion's carried. Thank you very much. We now move on to agenda item 15, reports taken under special urgency in 2022 to 2023. The last item for consideration by Council is reports taken under special urgency in 2022-2023. Full Council are being asked to note the content of this report. The Assistant Director of Governance and Monitoring Officer is to present this report. Who's that? Councillor Watts.
Thank you, Chairman. This report just sets out those decisions that were taken in the year by Cabinet that either were not listed on the forward plan or did not comply with the 5 clear working day rule. So they're classed as urgent decisions. There's an urgency provision within the Constitution. They're reported to Cabinet in terms of utilising that urgency provision at the time, but there's a requirement to report this to Council as well every year. So this report just sets out that constitutional requirement. The report's for noting, Chairman. Thank you.
Have we got a proposer?
No.
This is just for noting, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. Oh. Well, it's now close of the meeting, ladies and gentlemen. That concludes the business of today's meeting. I would like to say thank you to members for their cooperation. I would also like to say thank you to those members of the public who have joined us today. I look forward to seeing you all soon. I now declare this meeting closed, and I will try to get this button right.